We all say that too. The shift is here, the shift is now, 2024, 2025. It's a year of change. We're not bringing ancient beings into your world to change it. We're teaching how the world works so that you can change, and then it will change with you. How's that?
I'd like to welcome to the show Carol Collins. How you doing, Carol?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing very good. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm looking forward to our conversation. I think your teachings and what you're doing is really helping awaken the planet. So I not only appreciate you being on the show, but I appreciate you for the work that you're doing to help the world. So thanks for that.
Thank you. Thank you. I do say it's the work of the teachers. It's an ability that I have, but the
Hmm.
content is theirs, and it is
Hmm.
powerful. And it is, they call it the essential material, but it's a combination of things. And it's, to me, it's all the must-haves. Non-physical life, law of attraction, how to use source energy to heal, and then what the true definition of medium is, and how to bring it out, and when to bring it out, and how to know if you're accurate. It's the perfect swirl of information.
So the one thing that I've noticed about you is that you refer to yourself as America's medium, but yet you're also a channeler. And I know that is a separate category for a lot of people. Can you explain what you do? Because I know you're a channeler and you channel a collective with some very beautiful teachings to help the world, but you're also a medium. And is that a psychic in there as well thrown in? So can you explain to people what exactly all of this is together?
I would love to. So, but I'm going to give you the definition that the teachers do in their unfoldment classes. And
Hmm.
so they say psychic ability is tuning into the thoughts of people. It's learning how to read their energy and pull back memories. And so it's a little bit of necessary, because that's law of attraction, but it's also a skill, and you can get very, very good, and you get a lot of validation. Mediumship, they call it ocularity, but it's clairvoyant and then channeled. And the way they describe it is, it's intuition is your baseline mediumship. And then you move into thoughts and images in the mind, and then you move into being able to have conversations spoken out loud. And that's their definition of channeled. And they just say it's just the natural progression of how the subconscious mind tunes into the non-physical. So it's intuition, clairvoyant, channeled. But they classify all of that as mediumship. Medium is, you're the human being, you are the medium, you're the facilitator or the
Hmm.
conduit of conversation from the other side. And the way they describe it, channeled is the last layer of unfoldment into your full mediumship ability. So, but as a medium, I also like people to know that I love when the teachers come in and do guidance by, private appointments and group sessions. When people ask the teachers a question, I sit back and I say, it's really a reading. It's what they're asking for is guidance. And what they call it is, they just say it's more like a consultation, because they
Hmm.
provide guidance, they provide pathways, they provide options, and the if this, then that of all the options. And then they describe what they recommend out of everything that they see. Past, present, future is something that they take into account every single time. And so I am practicing medium because I love doing readings, but I'm also a practicing channeler because I love having books dictated and doing workshop kind of events where they're teaching the essential material. And I think channelers are known for the teaching that comes through, and
Hmm.
mediums are known for guidance on the other side. And the teachers are doing both through me. So they chose the name, though, America's Medium. And I love it. It suits me.
Sounds good. So what was your life like before this insanity that you channeling and mediums and psychics and all of this stuff? What was your life like prior to all of this?
It was none of that. It was none of that. University of Maryland, Georgetown grad, and I'm a computer science by trade. Program and project manager for global IT, Department of Defense industry, doing network engineering for weapons of mass destruction.
Very
It has
woo-woo, all very
no,
woo-woo stuff, very woo-woo.
it is, I'm a former Marine, And,
Oh, wow.
so my life before, but I'm also, Catholic Christian by birth. And so,
Yeah.
my life has been very independent, but I never saw this coming. I never saw this coming. And so, long story short, and some of your pre-information is good about me, that this hasn't been my life the whole time. I was professional, leadership development, entrepreneur, but also professional IT. And then kind of fell apart. I had what everybody had, mid 40s, relationship just went kaput. And I moved out of state. I cleaned house, moved out of state, and just hibernated. And when I hibernated, then I found law of attraction and manifesting things interesting by coincidence. And I was on a Facebook group, and I was more just, withering at that point. I was not steeped in depression, but I was really lonely and sad, and I kind of self-isolated. And so I'm flipping through this manifestation group, and my hand moved, and it clicked a button of a video, and the video turned out to be a 15-minute clip of Esther Hicks channeling Abraham. And I'd never heard of Abraham. I didn't even know what channeling was. I had heard of Edgar Casey at one point, but that was it. And within that 15 minutes, the whole front of my chest became warm, not like a whole body hot flash, but the front of my chest became warm. And it was like this vibration, not like an anxiety vibration, but just like not quite a humming, but say like a vibration that didn't scare me and that didn't throw me into thinking I was having an anxiety attack or something like that. It was just warm vibration and soothing. But the words also, I guess the whole energy of Abraham captured my attention. And I found it to be a way of coping. When relationships end, and if they end badly, then you don't like to go to the same restaurants or the same stores or the same roads or the same streets. And that's kind of where I was. I pushed back from everything just to, recalibrate and get back on my feet. And then Abraham taught about turn off violence, turn off this, turn off that. Well, I was already doing that because I couldn't watch the same shows and couldn't listen to the same music. And then, Abraham talks a little bit about silent meditation, small increments of silent meditation. And then I did. And about 4 months into meditation, my face started to move. And then about 5 months, it started to move a lot. And then it was consistent. This is what my face did in meditation with my eyes closed the whole time. And it was soothing and it was beautiful. And I never thought it was weird because I didn't tell anybody except for my eldest daughter. And then 9 months, almost to the day, my face would always stop right before my alarm went off. So I knew something cool was happening. But almost to the day, 9 months, right after meditation, my face stopped as usual, and then moved to the left, and then began to swirl differently. And it was cursive writing, and it was chapter of a book, and it was about who guides are and non-physical life, and that we are guided continuously. And at the end of it, they said chapter complete. And then I was kind of dazed. But about a month into it, my mouth started to move. So I was communicating all day like this. You should have seen me. At nighttime, it was kind of hard to go to sleep because I love talking to them. I would prop myself up on my elbows just to keep my face moving so that I could receive their conversation. And then I would just think back to them, or I would talk out loud. And, I have notebooks and notebooks and notebooks of, what all their initial conversation. And then about a month, my mouth started moving, no voice, but the face spelling was less. And instead it was just like, I knew what they were saying. And I knew that I wasn't moving my mouth because I could feel it's a different sensation that I have when they communicate through me. And then about 6 weeks into it, they simply asked if they could use my voice. And I said, if they could talk out loud. And I said, yes. And they said, okay, just say your name and a little bit about yourself, and we'll take it from there. I never said my name. I never said anything about myself, but they wrote chapter 2. And it was just this flow of moving into the physical world and how we choose our parents and choose our geographic location and how we build in intentions. And then they paused and they said, and we love you so much. We are complete. And I said, well, this is fun. And that was in March and April of 2019. And so it was, full-time program management job, doing this in every spare moment. And then a couple of years ago, I just put all that aside and I moved into mediumship and channeling full-time.
So, first of all that sound the part of you being in the military very woo-woo, obviously. Obviously
Never
the
saw
next
that
step.
coming.
Yeah, obviously the next stage is from military right into channeling. It's generally the way it goes. But
Yeah.
when you decided to come out of that spiritual closet, that channeling closet, what was it like for you dealing with your contemporaries, your friends, your family? I gotta believe that this was not an easy process. I know another channel who came out from the military as well, and it wasn't very well received around of people around her. So I'd love to hear what you went through in that process.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just thinking yesterday, it's funny how these things happen.
Hmm.
I was thinking yesterday, wouldn't it be an interesting thing to have is a support group for channeled people or for mediums in general? Because when the abilities surface, the way the teachers describe it, if the ability is built in to be advanced enough to use it, or use it as a profession, use it for yourself or use it as a profession, then your life goes, it's like 180 degrees. It's the very first day I had more thoughts, and it felt like 3 to 5 people were talking to me
Right.
constantly. It
Right.
was, I couldn't think, I couldn't complete a sentence because I kept tuning in and listening, and that reduced down to what I have now. But those first days were fun, but also so infuriating at the same time because I couldn't complete a sentence. But it's a different way of life. I was 48, I'm 53. So I was 48 and I had been, a Marine for 8 years. And then I went into DoD consulting and I'd been doing that for over 20 years. So my adult life was parenting, was teaching leadership development, was doing leadership coaching, and being an IT professional for big projects, multi-million dollar projects with people in the IT industry. And so I was known for that. I wasn't, I was Catholic, but I wasn't religious, and I'm still not religious. And so my family just said, "You're a what?" And my friend circle had changed at that time because I had moved. And so my new friends, I just introduced them to it and they accepted it perfectly fine. But,
Right.
family and people that knew you prior, they just say, "We never saw it coming. Are you
Are you
kidding me? Are
okay?
you okay? We know that you were kind of in a rut, but are you sure that what's going on?" And it's just like this. You have to either pull back and do it quietly and do it small, or you have to ask for guidance and I like to be guided. I mean, you can push through and you can make your way and you can make people, hear your story. But I just say, I use guidance. How do I handle this? How do I handle it with this person or this group? And some people still are not accepting of what I do. And I think channeled as well, mediumship is starting to be more accepted in the world, but channeled, there's still a lot of people that think it's your consciousness leaves your body. And then I had somebody ask me, what does it feel like to be a walk-in vessel? And I said, those weird words just don't resonate with me because I'm not a vessel. I'm a human being. I'm a confident, intellectual, educated human being. And I don't call myself a vessel, but I also don't call myself a walk-in or a step-in. And I just say they don't do that. But it's such a benefit to
Mm.
be the channel person who is channeling the deep esoteric kind of information, like who are non-physical beings? When do we decide to participate in physical life? Why do we participate? Are there more than one platforms of physicality? And they say there are. And why did we choose this one? What's built in? Who are we really? Are we small and inferior? Or did we come here because we weren't enlightened enough for another platform? And so they teach all of that. So I pull back when people use those overly spiritual terms, and I just say, I'm a medium, and I'm a good one, and I don't have the same belief system that you have, but I understand where you're coming from. You're asking me what does it feel like? And I say, it feels like the air goes still in the room. The air around my face gets a little thicker, almost like cotton in my ears. Sometimes my eyes are closed. My breathing and my heart rate is soft. And then the channeling begins. And for me, I just say it's like breathing. It feels like my mouth is being moved. If you had a way to hold on to your chin and pull it down, it kind of feels like that. I can feel my mouth being moved, and I can feel when the air gets a little thick right around here. And they say that's the throat chakra band of being able to speak words that were originated on the other side, the channeling band. And so a lot of people feel vibration or warmth or stillness, or like they've got earmuffs on, and then the channeling begins, and then sometimes that kind of dissipates. In the beginning, it didn't dissipate. It was like that full time. And now I just feel my mouth moving now. And so I say it's fun.
Do you feel vibrations on your mouth and your lips sometimes? Like something's like there's like literally a frequency or a vibration around your mouth when you're channeling?
I did. And that's what I felt here, right across from shoulder to shoulder, only in the
Mhm.
front. And I would feel either like a gentle pressure or a vibration or a warmth. But
Mhm.
across my face, they call this the channeling band.
Mhm.
And here it would just be almost like the air got thicker. And I know it's a kind of a funny way to describe it, but in the very beginning, like I said, it's almost like the air pressure right around
Mhm.
my face got thicker. That doesn't happen so much anymore, but I can feel my mouth moving. So it's not so much of a vibration anymore. I know when my lips are being shaped in the form of words. And then I hear the conversation coming out, and I say, yeah, that I didn't plan to say that. And then, but
Got it.
in readings and in classes and workshops, it's like they are always tempered in the most beautiful way. And, I had somebody just have a meltdown in a private session, PTSD kind of a meltdown. And there was my own personal vibration was brought down. I could feel the vibration then, regulating my own heart rate and to be able to, watch a meltdown, because that's not easy. And having people that are grieving, that's not easy. And so there is energy work that they do on any medium, but I can feel it. That does feel like a vibration. But I just say it feels like my mouth is being moved, and then the words flow.
No, when the term medium associates itself with speaking to the other side or speaking to loved ones from the other side or seeing loved ones from the other side, is that also part of your tool set, if you will?
Yeah. And the way the teachers describe it is base level mediumship is intuition, because that's suggestions of how to live life in a healthy way coming from your non-physical teacher, your guide. And so baseline mediumship is intuition, and then clairvoyant, which is hearing thoughts in your mind, seeing images in your mind, seeing movement, um, feeling specific vibration in your body that aligns to chakra work, and then channeled is after that. So the way they describe it is every clairvoyant person is not a channeler, but every channeler is also clairvoyant. So there's conversations in the mind all day long. And
How do you deal with
I
that?
how do you deal with that? Well, in the very beginning, because remember, I was like self-isolated by myself, moving around a little bit, but I'm in a new town and I'm doing everything by myself. And so in the very beginning, to help me acclimate to, because the conversation that a medium hears in their mind, when it's coming from the other side, it's the same voice that you think with, only it's on the right-hand side. And so it's you, but it's over here. And so that's how I know that the thoughts aren't mine. But in the beginning, they would just turn my face and talk to me to the left, and they would turn my face to the right when I was talking to them. So it was more like, they call it physical intuition, which mediums tend to have. When you're in a channeled moment and there's body language, that's almost always physical intuition, where they're asking to emphasize something. And so they did that with me and my body, because when in the channeled moment, they are asking your body to move your mouth so that words can be spoken.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just started asking other parts of my body. I get up in the morning and I stand in my living room, and then I just say they yoga me or they tai chi me, and my body moves in different positions that are helpful in healing. But this is kind of a fun segue into the pillar system. So the essential material, the 4 pillars of learning, is what they have identified their suite of material. And the 4 pillars are: pillar 1, the foundation material, conscious life, and why we're having a physical life. Pillar 2 is what they call idea reconstruction, but it's law of attraction, and your thoughts and emotions create your reality. Pillar 3 is how to use source frequency to heal your body, but also heal your life. And then pillar 4 is intuitive development, learning how to become a full and open medium. So pillar 3, they talk about the foundation of ancient methods of healing, hands-on techniques. They call it touch point activation, and about moving energy in the air using the quantum field around our body has chi vibrating outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about moving your body, which causes your own personal chi, some people call it soul energy, chi throughout the chakras around your body, which helps to correct law of attraction. And so, when I do morning yoga and morning tai chi, they talk to me the whole time and they say, we're pushing from the heart chakra, we're pushing from the throat chakra for things that are coming up when they do it in the front. And when they reach behind me, they say we are pushing traumatic childhood things or behaviors further back so it does not collide with law of attraction in your future moments. And so anything in the back is your, your older memories are in the back, newer. And then your present moment is in the front. So when you do, they call it the push. So when you're doing push to the front, you're literally clearing the pathway within the chakra system so that you have a better mindset, a better outlook. Throat chakra, heart chakra, I speak and I feel. So when you're doing it here, you will have an easier time communicating or comprehending, or comprehension is good.
Mm-hmm.
Communicating with people better. And then the heart chakra, it is pushing negative emotions literally away from you so that you don't feel them, absorb them, and then act upon them. So it's a beautiful pillar system, and they go into the ancient mudras and what they do and how they correct the emotional cause of physical problems. And they go head to toe, outside, all the way to the inside of the body, of what physical problems, what the emotional cause, emotions and emotional phrases, and what the cause is for everything that goes wrong with the body and how to overcome it. And it's energy work and guidance. But medical science plays a part because we've got strong beliefs in it. And so it's how to self-heal using source frequency. And it's fascinating. I love it. I think pillar 1 and pillar 3 are probably my favorite because I'm just fascinated with non-physical life and non-physical energy and why our earth environment is created the way that it is, and what is here that's useful to heal. You know, we have law of attraction and everybody knows that, but we didn't just come here destined to be banged up by law of attraction. We had to have had other things here that if we came upon them or learned about them, then they would be helpful. And that they teach all about that in pillar 3 as well. It's a fun suite of material. I feel very lucky in this lifetime.
Carol, let me ask you, you obviously have a connection to the other side and you're getting this profound knowledge of why we're here, what the purpose of this all is. You're getting answers to questions that are, some of the deepest questions that humanity has to offer, basically, essentially. And you're getting this information constantly from the other side, from your teachers. How do you balance living in this third dimensional reality while also having this information of the other side of what this is all like? You're Neo both in the Matrix and in real life at the same time. It's this balancing act because you're living in the real world, but you understand that we're in the Matrix. And that's a very difficult thing for a brain to work with, to reconcile with. It would be difficult for me. I have a lot of information based purely on the conversations I have on the show about what the other side is and bigger questions and answers. But I could turn it off the second I hit off on the Zoom button or I let somebody out of my studio. But you're on all the time. How do you balance living this life while still receiving and understanding this information?
There's a trick to it, and it's called guidance. But any medium who really loves what they do, they have conversations with. I have a team of people, and they call themselves the teachers, and they say in any conversation there's anywhere between 3 and 50 or 60. It just depends on the topic and how many people are involved in it. But my parents are both on the other side now, and I talk to them, and I talk to authors, people of distinction, I guess, that are interesting. I want to know about their lives, but not the details of their life. I want to know what they did in life that was in alignment with their intentions. And I think, my thought process is different. I don't watch a lot of TV anymore. And I don't read books. I was not a metaphysic guru. I was not into spiritual things. This found me. And then the teachers are teaching all kinds of things, but they teach about intentions. And so I use them now to make my day-to-day life better. But there's a lot of silence, and sometimes they just say, let's talk out loud today. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, well, that's a good idea. There was not that long ago, there was about 2 days. It was like a Friday and a Saturday. I had things to do on a Sunday, but I had an all day Friday and all day Saturday where it was just me, my computer, and conversations with them. I don't think I talked out loud to another human being for those 2 days, but I was talking constantly using clairvoyant and channel. And it's funny when on Sunday when I was out and about doing some errands and other things, and then you start seeing people and you start hearing human voices other than your own. It's like, oh my gosh, this is so nice. And then I stop myself and I say, but not as nice as talking to you, because I'm consciously aware of not wanting to teach my inner mind that to ignore anything. I want to be, I call it guidance on the move, to be in any situation, in any environment, experiencing any emotion, and still be able to receive guidance so that I can handle the situation or get the most out of it. So there's a lot of silence with mediums, I think, because we do have conversations a lot. My kids, they'll just see me doing this and they'll say, Mom, would you have the conversation out loud, please? Who are you talking to, Mom? And so that's fun because they are more accepting of it now. But, it's sometimes you got to force yourself to not step out of it, but to that's why channeling is such it's a fun ability, because if it is getting to be too lengthy in the mind, then they switch to out loud. And nowadays I can just sit with an earbud in my ear and sit at a coffee shop and still receive a channeled conversation and not look like I'm talking to myself. And so that is helpful. A different way of life, it's a different way of life. And also because this whole thing is powerful information. And so I'm very intrigued. I'm asking questions all the time. There was a group of friends the other day that was asking about what is the truth about multiple lives or simultaneous lives. And someone brought in like a diagram of, does it look like a paper chain of people, when you're having simultaneous or alternate lives? And so there was this, videoed conversation, because we ended up putting it on video, and they taught about simultaneous existence, the different versions of you that are having simultaneous physical life. And they say they are physical people and they are in this earth environment, but they are in a plane of existence that is different than yours. You can't interact with them, but sometimes there is an exchange of thought. You all look the same. You have very similar lives. You live in the same place. If one of you moves, then others have the impulse to move. And it's just fascinating where the conversation goes when people start asking, really, what is non-physical life like? What is here that we don't know? What is the truth about this? And I say, it's like a different kind of Mythbusters, some of it. But, yeah,
we've been talking so much about the teachers. Do you think we can bring the teachers in?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You ask a question and they always introduce themselves and they like to identify who's here or how many, but they'll jump in. It's swift.
If you're enjoying this conversation, I invite you to go deeper down the rabbit hole with me on Next Level Soul TV. It's packed with exclusive content like live special guest Q&As, daily podcasts, commercial-free access to the entire Next Level Soul catalog, early access to episodes before they air, and special meditations you won't find anywhere else. We will be adding new exclusive content every month, plus you can connect with me during my monthly live streams. Just go to nextlevelsoul.com/subscribe and join our soulful community today. I'll see you on the inside. All right. So first question I have for you is, for the teachers, is the concept you were just talking about. You were talking specifically about parallel lives, but the concept of there is no past life, there is no future life, all lives are happening at the exact same time. If they can explain it in a way that our little brains could understand that, because it's very difficult because we're so based in time in this reality.
Once in a while, we have conversations with people. And when we have conversations with people, it doesn't get written down. We love modern life and people don't. Because life is fast paced. You think and you breathe and you move. And you think more and you breathe and you move. And then you have a to-do list that's too long. But every once in a while, someone sits back and they ponders about ancient information. But ancient information isn't being taught right now. It is ancient teaching that was in fact taught long ago. It's history as far as you are concerned, but it is not in history for the inner mind. And so now we can open the eyes. Here we are. We love this conversation. We love you. We are avid fans of what you do and what you talk about. And we are not myth busters. We're just teachers. But we are congratulators of human life, and we are fond of physicality. And there is much that you have and much that has been diluted or lost. It's not lost, but the inner mind doesn't tune into it. And so let's say like this, there is a timeline, and people do complete their physical life and they do transition. And when they transition, they find themselves in an environment that's not web-like. We are not energy beings. We are not mist-like. We are not robotic or mechanic in nature. We use energy, and we create energy, and we create each moment that we are going to have based on what we are wanting. What people do is you live your life, but you live your life without the knowing that you are in cooperative position with your non-physical self. And so energy field, real. Quantum body, real. Chakra system, real. Physical body, real. But it stays in this physicality. Your thoughts, they are a combination always, dominant, wavelengths of emotion, and then subjects attached to them. Everything that you have ever done, everything you have ever looked upon, everything that you have ever read, everything that you have ever created, everything that you have ever sung or watched, participated in, engaged, observed, is a thought. So think of it like soap bubbles. Everywhere, soap bubbles. And inside every soap bubble is dominant emotion and a subject. Now, some soap bubbles are individual and they just float by themselves. But other soap bubbles have a mass, bubble, 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 all connected. We would say that's experience. You can have an experience or you can have a thought. Now, what the inner mind does, the non-physical mind, is your soul being incarnate. Your physical body has a brain which connects to your chakra system, and then your body manifests what you have. So the two don't become one, but they do integrate. And so you are moving about with your soul energy and your soul being intact, but you are in different dimensions of reality, but connected. The thinking component is your non-physical mind, and it is creating thought structures. Now, those thought structures don't go away, but time sequence does. So every thought that has ever been thought is here in this physicality. But your past lives are not literally still living their life on repeat because they had a birth and then they had a death. And so you have to use some amount of reason here. If a physical life completed, how can it continue? And that's what you're all grappling with. And we say, well, the physical life doesn't continue with life. It doesn't continue with alternate reality life. It doesn't continue with parallel lives. It does not. They all complete, but the thought and the memories and the experiences in their full detail remains. So this conversation, for instance, Carol's in her office, you are in yours. Now there's daylight here, blue sky. You said cloudy. It won't be all day. But there's also vibration of white couch, of next level soul hound, of technology, of every thought that's been thought in each of your rooms. But you have carpet, and you have books, and you have wall, and you've got wood or metal, and you have air, and you have vibration of all of it. All of those vibrations are the soap bubbles that accumulate to be bubble, 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 all connected, because that creates simultaneous experience. The simultaneous experience of now never goes away, but certainly tomorrow is a different day. An hour from now is a different moment. And so can you, Alex and Carol, can you go back to yesterday? Physically, no. Non-physically, yes. And you do it all the time. And so that's why we say every thought is available, but don't go there. Find happy, find a subject, and then push for it to manifest in your future. So physical life does not continue on repeat in some different plane of existence. But the thought structures, individual and in small, medium, and large, collective thought, they remain forever. So the way Carol's office is situated right now, right here, right now, 3 decades from now, her inner mind could come right back here on this day, at this hour, and observe the actual conversation as it occurred. It will not be adding to the content. It's an observer of what occurred, but it's an observer of everything that is here, not just a thought or just an emotion. It is tuning into the moment in time where the conversation was had or where the activity was had. And so let's just say it's 2024 and you are winding down in physical life experiences of those that were engaged in World War II. The minds of those people who did experience World War II, they are going back to their experiences because that's their physical life. And so they are, the inner mind, the non-physical mind, is re-experiencing it. Because it was theirs. But you teach history, and people are fascinated with history, battlefields. And when you are fascinated, let's say Gettysburg, because that one's not too far from here. If someone is fascinated with the Gettysburg Address or the Battle of Gettysburg, then your physical body can be where it is, but your mind can go there. Now, if you like your present day life, it could go there and see nothing. But people walking around an empty field. But if you love history, or if you love that address, then your non-physical mind can go all the way back to that time frame and then experience the battle, the actual battle, because every experience that has ever had is still here in thought structures and in sequence. It's in sequence. And so if you know, think about school systems. You not only learn, but you're tested upon the who, the where, the what, the why, and the when, the day, the month, the year, and the place. And that gives the non-physical mind all the information that it needs to go back and observe it. And if you do that often enough, then you come back with anxiety in your elder years, or COPD, or curvature of the spine, or edema in the lower legs, or varicose veins, or balding, or bone fractures, osteoporosis, organ failure. If you go back to those fearful events, now you can read it in a book and then you can absorb information, but the non-physical mind can travel there. It can travel there. When does it do that? Mostly in your sleep. We want people to be happy and generous with happy and think to the future. We want you to review your to-do list and your wish list of the future before you go to bed and be happy, because that'll cause the mind to do more of here and now kind of things when you're sleeping. It does not sleep. So we've had people that have asked us, is it true that I really don't need to sleep? And we say, no. Your non-physical mind does not sleep, but your physical body, it does need not only rest, but it needs deep sleep, because we do healing work in your sleep when the non-physical mind isn't jumping. And we call it that. We say the jumper within. Stand down from past life things. You absorb personality traits from lives that you have had. You do not experience the full life, nor can you conjure your full life, but you can certainly, based on your soul signature energy, you can jump. It's like, we like Stretch Armstrong analogy, because that jumper within, it's part of your conscious awareness. Now you can sit and be in one room, and somebody can be in another room, and you can stretch your awareness to a conversation in the other room. That's what the non-physical mind does, but it can jump spatially and through layers of time. So time and space jumping is what part of the non-physical mind can do. But it doesn't leave your body. Its awareness leaves your body and then comes right back. Your awareness leaves your body and comes right back. That's psychic activity, psychic movement of your non-physical mind to identify things that you're interested in. But it doesn't know good from bad. It doesn't know right from wrong. It doesn't know happy from sad. It just knows what your dominant emotion is, and then the topics that you've been interested in. And so when you go to sleep, be happy. Because then it will be what it goes and finds most, and it will. It's we just call it the jumper. And so to answer your question in a long fashion, but we like it, but we like to teach, is that the non-physical mind is the one that teaching pertains to, but not your physical body. How does that sound to you?
It sounds beautiful to me. Thank you so much for that lovely answer. My next question is that so many people are worried about where the world is going, where humanity is going, as far as our consciousness is concerned, as far as the negative things that are happening in the world, the suffering that is happening in the world. We see more polarized than ever before. Where do you see humanity moving towards in the rest of this year, next decade, next 100 years, to put people at ease, to at least understand what is coming for all of us in many ways?
We are guides, loved ones, in addition to non-physical teachers. And we do talk through human beings. We send a vibrational wavelength of thought to the non-physical mind of the human being. And if that non-physical mind receives it, translates it fully, then we ask the non-physical mind to present it to the physical body as spoken thought. We give it instructions. And so we don't teach through one person, we teach through many about the shift. And we're all using that term. It is not channeled people just bringing that term because they're monkey see, monkey do. Non-physical teachers on purpose have gathered together and identified, language by language, the words to use to cause people to trust guidance. There is a shift, not in consciousness, because your consciousness is your soul being incarnate. Your consciousness is what you are paying attention to in your physical life. So we say be more consciously living, consciously aware of what your emotions are, because your non-physical mind creates or manifests your future experiences emotionally, and then the subject. But it's your emotions that matter the most. We all talk about that as well. Why are there more channelers? Because you need more clarification. Because you have internet, and you have teaching, and you have coursework, and you have expanded degree programs that are now moving into spiritual degrees. and you're teaching psychic nature of the mind is mediumship, we beg to differ. Because psychic nature of the mind is how you use magnetic attraction to draw information to you to create with. Think of it like a pantry. You use magnetic attraction to add to your pantry, and then you create your meal from it. It's the same thing with your memories. You use what you have to create. We're stepping forward in droves to cause the world to pull back from using psychic for readings. We specifically are teaching people how to do mediumship to cause people to understand that the non-physical mind has to participate in the receiving, translation, and the presentation. But not only that, your world is altering itself. But why? Isn't this the best question? Why is the world altering itself? Because of human thought. People are very worried about the environment. All right, now that's one statement. But that statement, as we just said, will never dissipate. And so it's worried, very concerned about the environment, about the atmosphere, about the gorillas, about the fill in the blank. You add worry on a subject, and en masse, that's what you create. So that's what we all teach as well. The shift is teaching how to use the power of the mind, teaching how to use positivity so that you alter the thought structures that you are having, using, and leaving behind. We don't see the world falling apart because we created it to not fall apart. There is energy in every single thing, quantum energy, and everything emits a vibration. And every vibration heals something. But what does it heal? Thought structures. Some things heal words. Some things heal emotions. What things? Well, we can dive into the specifics, but let's just say your environment was created to stand the test of time, but yet alter itself based on human thought. So we say, turn off violence. Turn away from news reports. Tune into things like this podcast and others like it. Open up conscious living periodicals, books about botanicals. Learn about your world and what you have. Learn about molecular structures if you like, or just learn where all the beautiful waterfalls are. Google images of rainbows, and your entire emotional self will alter itself. When enough people do that, then you feel better, and you stop tuning into, non-physically tuning into, and also physically tuning into things of mass destruction. Do we see wars going away? No. Do we see World War III occurring and destroying your planet? Never. Do we sit back idly? No. Are there things happening that you do not know about? Yes. Let's take the recent eclipse. The eclipse, as we teach it, and all non-physical teachers would if asked, it's a 7-day event. Not because 7 is biblical in creation, but that's how it was created. Each day targets a chakra system. The day that you have the visual is the root chakra, and it's meant for you to see it and be outside and to talk about it so that the inner mind tunes into the frequency that is being brought into your lower atmosphere. That frequency is used by non-physical healers, your guide, and any of those that are doing that work. And it is used specifically in the root chakra of people. Root chakra is where all of your negative beliefs are, your limitations. But you don't know that. You just think it's an astrological phenomenon. And so you talk about astrological phenomena. We talk about the story behind the story. But 3 days prior, 3 days after, also targets a different chakra system. But the one that matters most is the one that limits your ability to manifest who you want to be. That's the root chakra. So that's the day that we just say the thinkers and the makers. If you want to say the creators, you can. But the thinkers and the makers, and the thinkers and the makers and the maintainers, and the thinkers and the makers and the maintainers and the healers, they all participated in identifying an astrological phenomenon that you could see. And we teach why. We want more questions from people so that we can bring back all that esoteric teaching, and we want it written down. We want it in book form because your book stands the test of time and your technology is evolving. Write it, capture it, and write it. But write it accurately to what we teach. And then it will be diluted in the future, certainly, but not as quickly. So this year, what do we see? Well, astrologically, we could go planet by planet, item by item, but everything emits a frequency, and that frequency targets either human thought, meaning words, or human emotion, or a specific chakra system. It's healing. You got to be outside though, because when you're indoors and windows closed, you have taught yourself that homes protect you from the environment. And so the air mind does not tune into the vibration that is being brought into the lower atmosphere. And so you need to go outside. Technically, you don't, because it does filter in, but outside it's in abundance. But we also teach you go outside and look up. Why? Blue. Why is it blue? It aligns to and heals the throat chakra. Why are trees green? Why is grass green? Because it aligns to and heals the heart chakra. But you have to be in the vicinity of its realness. So go to the park, sit on the grass, go to the beach, sit on the sand, put your feet in the water. Water heals dense emotions. You love water, you love oceans, but yet you don't because you're afraid of sharks. So don't teach each other. Don't create those movies. Just say they're big fish and then put your feet in because you're all still scared of the ocean. Everything in your environment, everything that you have, everything that you've identified, and all the things that you have not yet identified, they all have a healing component. So we don't fear for your planet. And we don't want you to either, but we know you do. And so we plant seeds of thought, and we hope that they germinate and grow, but they grow best with questions. This year is a year of change. Next year is a year of abundance. If you know how to tune into the energy of it. We love horoscopes, and there is some accuracy in them. But you have to understand it's your temperament that will make it happen for you. It's not automatic. But your temperament is law of attraction. And your non-physical mind is the one that gathers and feeds the pantry of what you'll manifest. And so it goes by emotion. You have to be happy people. You have to be happy people. You have to conjure happy. You have to be happy. You don't have to be ecstatic kind of happy, but don't be fake happy, because then the mind adds confusion and I don't know into the pantry. So be happy, happy, and stop creating violence. We all say that too. The shift is here. The shift is now, 2024, 2025. It's a year of change. We're not bringing ancient beings into your world to change it. We're teaching how the world works so that you can change, and then it will change with you. How's that?
That was beautiful. And do you have any parting messages for the audience?
We love people, and we love when you're nice. We love the inner mind of people. and it does not know nice from not nice. You need to remember that, human beings. You need to remember that. Your non-physical mind is your own personal law of attraction. And it is not suffering when you are. It is just gathering more for you to experience. It is, but not to harm you. It is the challenge of physical life in this environment. This environment is a challenge. You are not youngsters here. You are all old souls here, and you are all well equipped for it. And you all came with intentions, and you all have a purpose, with a purpose, on purpose, individually and in mass. What you need is friendly. And what you need is to understand that your non-physical mind, person by person, is law of attraction. It's not the universe. It's not people on the other side. It is the universe, but you are your universe. You are your law of attraction. You gather and then you manifest. And you gather and you manifest. That is law of attraction. You have to be more mindful, human beings. You have to be more mindful about what your mood is. And that's all you need. Just get yourself a mood ring. Use it. But also, this age category still loves it. Your emotions guide you. Your emotions are what your future manifesting will be based on. When you use that information, not just hear it, but when you use it, human being, physical human being, then you influence your own non-physical mind. And then it follows suit. You have to come upon the information, you have to like it, you have to comprehend it, and you have to use it. And if you do, in that succession, the inner mind will follow suit. And then you'll be happy. Easily. And happy begets happy. Always, person by person. We love you. We love you. We love you. We love you. We say that. We're talking to the inner mind as well, Alex. Do you know that? We don't just teach words to be remembered. We're also vibrational beings that add a component. In the mediumship moment, we add a component so that the non-physical mind straightens up, pays attention. There's a vibration in channel conversation that's different than human vibration, and the inner mind of anybody that's listening alters itself at least a little bit. We love you.
And she's back.
That's me.
So where do you go when this is happening? Are you still listening? Are you like on the side somewhere, or do you remember
I
what's going
hear
on?
it. So one of the ways that they describe my ability is they call me a light alpha state channeler. When you think about the states of awareness, beta, alpha, theta, deep alpha is what spiritual community calls a deep trance state channeled person. I'm very high alpha. And so I hear the conversation. Sometimes my eyes are open, sometimes they're closed. They usually have me kind of staring off somewhere, not really at anything. I hear the conversation. I do have clairvoyant thought that comes in too, clairvoyant movement or images. And like I knew that they were going to mention Gettysburg, but they showed me like little round top, not the battlefield. And they started with the rocks and then they showed the battlefield and pulled back. But I know when they show me an image, that's something that they're going to mention. And then they soothe it. So I hear it. I don't remember it for very long. I will have to listen to the playback. Yeah, when it's aired. I will have to remember the whole thing, unless I take notes right away afterwards. But there's always so many nuggets. But it's fun. Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Consciously aware, alpha state channeler. But I just say, I love what I do. I'm really happy to have been here. Thank you so much.
So, Carol, I'm going to ask you a few questions. I ask all my guests. What is your definition of living a fulfilled life?
Anticipating that you will satisfy soul intentions. That's fulfilled. fulfilled from a grand expectation. But from a human being perspective, it's, did I like my life? Did I like it? Did I do the things that I wanted to do? Did I ignore shyness? Did I go with what I wanted to do, the things that I felt good about, fulfilled? But it's, your wish list grows. It's a continuous manifesting of things that make you happy. And always, always, always eager for more. Never being purely satisfied, but enjoying who you are and what you're doing in the moment, and then eager for more and more indifferent at the same time.
Beautiful. What advice would you, if you had a chance to go back in time and speak to your younger self, what advice would you give little Carol?
I think I would just say, relax. You got this. You are a little different than your siblings, but it's on purpose. Don't let it hurt your feelings that you're blonde, blue-eyed, and smaller. Don't get your feelings hurt. You're different on purpose, and you got this. You're stronger than you know.
How do you define God or source?
How do I now? Non-physical beings and conscious reality life, non-physical life. Who is God to me? Well, I'm going to say two answers, and I hope this doesn't offend anyone, but I say my guide is, to me, my guiding light, and my higher being who created my ability to be a person is God to me, because without that being deciding that I got to be a person, I wouldn't be here. But non-physical life, I guess I have a different kind of take on this because of what they teach through me. I like knowing that non-physical life is real, and that it's like a step 1, step 2, and everybody reaches step 2, and that you get to continue doing what you're doing and living life. This life is meant to be fun, definitely funner. And then non-physical life is an extension of what we were able to accomplish. But it's not a single God to me. It is being guided. That's God. I guess that's the best answer. Being guided, because that's what God is, right? The idea of God being all powerful, all knowing, all observant, all healing. Well, that is your non-physical team, because they guide you, they know you, they heal you, they watch over you, they protect you, they pave the way for you to be able to connect and receive intuitive guidance all the way to channeled. They are the ones that they're your lifeline. And so they're my genie in the bottle.
Fair enough. And what is the ultimate purpose of life?
Strengthen intuition as far as it feels fun, and anything else that you built in, person by person by person. That's the definition that the teachers give, and I love it. My definition, be satisfied with who you are in the moment and still reach for more.
And where can people find out more about you and the amazing work you and your teachers are doing in the world?
Oh, now that's an easy one. Americas-medium.com. And there's a lot of things that they do. They teach. I have classes every single Monday and Tuesday, and they're pure channeled, and they teach mediumship. They bring it out in you, and they teach about non-physical energy and how to use it to heal your body, and the truth behind both of those. and they teach about law of attraction and everything else in the essential material. They do workshops. They do readings and energy work. They call it attunements. And a very, very fun thing that's part of my everyday life is channeled book dictation. And so it's powerful suite of material that is being produced. Video. So YouTube, I don't do TikTok, so it's YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and my website, America's Medium. The website has a dash in the middle, americas-medium.com. And it's, there's the easy route and there's the hard route. And the hard route is thinking about it. And the easy route is to join one of the membership programs. So I've got it so that it's easy for people continuously learn and ask questions. And so I've got a whole suite. I've got a gold membership. It's monthly workshops, and you get to listen to book dictation, you get newsletters, and you get all kinds of stuff with it. Platinum membership is unlimited everything, unlimited access to the teachers except for private appointments. And I think the laundry list is about that long of things that you get with it. And then there's a wellness membership, which is a handful of things that include a pure channeled online wellness magazine that the teachers put out every single month. And so it's americas-medium.com.
Carol, it has been a pleasure having you and the teachers on the show. Thank you so, so much for coming on and for the work that you're doing to awaken the planet. So thank you.
Welcome, anytime.
Thanks for watching. Click on one of the videos below to continue your journey, and don't forget to subscribe.